Do you ever lay awake at 3 o'clock in the morning wondering if your wife is getting ready to leave you, divorce you, or cheat on you? Well, after 25,000 conversations with men, I've identified 4 key signs that she's getting ready to either leave you, cheat on you, or divorce you. And taken individually, they are signs, but taken together, they become more and more clear. Now, sign number 4 is going to shock and surprise you, so make sure you stay at least that long. And if you stay to the end of the video, I'm going to tell you exactly what to do in order to avoid being cheated on, left, or divorced. So let's get into it. Sign number 1 is she starts focusing on self-improvement. All of a sudden, she's more interested in her hair and her makeup. She's going to the gym. She's losing weight. She's eating more carefully. Her figure's getting cuter and cuter. And she wants to wear clothes that show it off, so they're getting cuter and cuter. She's getting a new haircut. She's getting her nails done. Heck, she's even getting her toenails done. Some women start going for breast augmentation, tummy tucks. And what you're seeing is that she is looking better and better and better, and you're thinking it's about you, but really it's about the single dad in the car rider line. It's about the guy, her work husband, or her personal trainer in the gym, or maybe it's not a physical man, but it's this imagined fantasy man that she sees herself with, and she knows that in order to attract him, she needs to be at her best. The other thing you got to worry about here is that when she starts dusting off her career, maybe a single mom wants to go back to work. Maybe she needs more education and starts getting it. Maybe she starts working harder and she starts getting promoted. When you see this, what she's doing is she's preparing financially for a life apart from you, and you've got to pay attention to these signs, brother. Sign number 2 is she's easier to get along with. The nagging, the bickering, the criticism, the suggestions, the course corrections, they just kind of stop. And you wake up one day and you think, am I finally enough? Am I finally good enough? Am I finally lovable? Is she finally over this? I think maybe things are getting better. This is what the guys say to me. They get on the Zoom session with me and they're like, hey, Bob, you know what? I signed up to talk about my marriage, but things are getting better. She's looking better. She's taking better care of herself. She's not bickering as much. She's not angry as much. She's not complaining as much. I'm like, dude, that's 2 out of the 4. You got to see, you're about to get left, cheated on, or divorced. Now, as this number 2 starts happening, you lose track of her. You're not tracking with her emotionally. You're not tracking the facts and figures of her life. You're not understanding what she's going through. You're not understanding what she's facing. And in essence, what happens is this leads to sign number 3. She stops sharing her heart with you. All of a sudden, your conversations become superficial. It's kind of like your roommates. She's doing her thing, you're doing your thing and her thing are never really kind of mixing. And so she's off living her life, and you don't have a clue what's going on. You don't know how she's feeling. You don't know how she's thinking. And what makes this worse is like you'll see her in these periods of deep sadness, and you'll walk up to her. She's melancholy. She's down. She looks depressed. And you're like, hey, are you okay? And she's going to be, yeah, I'm fine. And you're going to be like, well, okay, what's wrong? Nothing's wrong. I'm just tired. When you get the I'm just tired excuse, man, you are in big trouble. It means I don't want to share with you the fact that why I'm so sad is I am mourning the death of my marriage, and I am planning a life apart from you. I'm thinking about whether or not I'm going to have an affair and cheat. I'm thinking about whether I'm going to leave you, divorce you, get a legal separation, go talk to the lawyer, have the papers drawn up. That's what's wrong. And she's not going to tell you because she is no longer heart connected to you and sharing her heart with you. And now here's the craziest one, man. Sign number 4, and this one may blow you away. Sign number 4 is that she has an increased appetite and seeming enjoyment of sex with you. And you're going to be like, well, Bob, isn't that a good thing? Well, yeah, it's a good thing if you don't have these other signs, but if you have any hint of these other signs, chances are she's a good Christian girl who does not want to commit adultery. She doesn't want to cheat on you, and she's got this appetite. Why does she have the appetite? It's the single dad in the car rider line. It's the trainer at the gym. It's the work husband. It's the fantasy man who she imagines herself with. It doesn't have to be a physical man. It can be a fantasy man. But what ends up happening is as she begins imagining a connected, trusted, loving, emotionally safe relationship with a man, then that leads to vasopressin, oxytocin, serotonin, testosterone, and estrogen, this cocktail of hormones of infatuation, which includes sexual arousal. And now all of a sudden she is sexually aroused and she wants to scratch that itch, and she's not yet ready to cheat, or she would never cheat, or she hasn't met the man who she would cheat with, and now she needs to take care of that need, and she does so in the confines of a safe Christian marriage. She is getting those needs met. And so you get on a Zoom call with me and you're like, hey, Bob, things are great. She wants all kinds of sex and she's looking better than she's ever looked. Like, my marriage problems are solved. And I'm going to say, no, brother. As a matter of fact, you're getting ready to be left, divorced, or cheated on. So when you see these signs, and the more of these signs you see, you need to be seeking help immediately. The more of these things you see, the closer she is to actually leaving you, divorcing you, or cheating on you. Now, I told you I was going to tell you what to do about it. When you see her start to improve herself, it is a clear sign that you need to be improving yourself. There's this thing about human nature. If doing better with diet and exercise, other people start looking like slobs. So if your wife is doing better with diet and exercise, you better immediately start doing better with diet and exercise, because that is going to minimize the way that she looks down on you as she starts this journey of self-improvement and you're looking like a sloth. And if she starts dressing better, you better start dressing better. And I'm going to tell you that you better dress better anyway. All these suggestions I'm about to give you, you should be doing anyway. You should be doing all the time. She starts working on her career, you better start working on your career. Because if you start matching her for this stuff, then rather than you looking like the loser she's leaving, she's starting to wonder, why is he doing that? She's more perceptive. And you know what? As humans, we don't want to lose something. We don't mind walking away from something. We don't want to lose something. So if she sees a man who is suddenly interested in diet and exercise and the way he dresses and having a nice fresh haircut and improving his career, number one, she doesn't want to lose that in some part of her, and that's going to make her take a little bit of pause. Number two, she's not going to be looking down on you and saying this guy's a sloth while I'm improving myself. He's just letting himself go. Okay, number two, easier to get along with. You know what, man? You need to be easier to get along with. You need to stop your nagging. You need to stop your bickering. You need to stop your complaining. You need to work on your inner man. You need to deal with your own garbage. You need to get more emotionally healthy. You need to get better sanctified. You need to become more like Jesus. You need to be more loving and kind and caring and compassionate and forgiving and seeing the best in her and giving her the benefit of the doubt, not because you don't care, but because you do. You combine this with looking better, getting stronger, getting leaner, getting better at your career, dressing better. Man, all of a sudden you're presenting a package, an inside package and an outside package to her that is more attractive. And that more attractive package is going to start to help her to find some of these hormones, this dopamine and serotonin and oxytocin and testosterone and estrogen is going to start to give her more of those feelings. But you know what, man? They're actually going to be imprinted on you. It's not imprinted on the single dad in the car rider line. It's not imprinted on her gym buddy. It's not imprinted on her work husband or some fantasy man. It's imprinted on you. Step number 3, you need to share your heart with her. In other words, you need to be heart connected with her. You need to talk to her about what you went through during the day and the emotions that you felt. And as you begin to share that and become more naked emotionally, that makes her feel safer, especially if you paid attention to number 1 and you're not sharing venom and arguments and complaints. What you're sharing is loving, kind, positive, abundant kind of thoughts. As you're doing that, it makes her safer to step into a space and share her heart, and she begins sharing her heart with you. Now, as all of these things are happening, she is getting this flood of infatuation hormones and chemicals. And so in the space where she is wanting more sex and she is enjoying it because maybe it was about some fantasy guy, well, now all of a sudden you become the guy who she's actually fantasizing about, because your internal communications and your external communications are kind and loving and attractive, because you are sharing your heart with her and you are more connected to her. And now inside of this space of sex, sex. We know that chemically there is a bond that occurs when you have sexual intercourse, that it bonds you to the person who you have it with. And rather than her kind of denying that and brute forcing that away from you and onto her fantasy man after she enjoys sex with you, it actually flows the way God intended, and she is now willing to bond with you, and now you can begin to solve this problem. Now, what I just talked about here is the 4 stages I always talk about. Ascend your inner king, ascend your outer king, ascend your queen, get her feeling treated like a wife and a queen, and then ascend your kingdom. If you want more information for how to do these things, then go to www.realmanrevolution.com, and I'll see you on the other side.